Hi. So once again, I'm here with my new learning session, which is related to audit and verification, two terminologies. So in ISO 9001 standard and in IATO 16949 standard, these are the terminology which is most commonly used in the organization. But organizations are having the confusion related to these two terms, and terms are audits and verification. So in this particular session, we will see what are the definition given in ISO 9000 2015 for these two terminologies. So I'm trying to connect you with the ISO 9000 definition. So first we will discuss about the verification. So if you talk about the verification terminology, or according to ISO 9000 2015, the definition is confirmation through the provision of objective evidence that between uh, specified requirement have been fulfilled. So important is we are just doing the comparison between the reference and the actual things. So if we are taking the confirmation whether whatever the requirement we have defined that have been fulfilled or not. So if we are taking the confirmation through the objective evidences, so this will be considered as verification. So in most of the industry, people are doing the audit, but actually they are doing the verifications. So if organization is doing the verification, then it is not possible to get the benefits of the audit activity, because audit is little bit change or something different from the verification. But actually the internal auditors for quality management system, for process audit, for product audit, the people are just focusing on the verification of the activities. So this is the definition given in ISO 9000 2015. Now, my next term is audit, which is very important to understand, because in an organization, if auditors are going for the audit, they should focus on the audit requirements, not on the verification requirement. So they should perform the audit, and whatever the benefit organization should get from the audits, so they can contribute for that. So audit is, if you see the ISO 9000 2015, so definition for audit is systematic, independent and documented process for obtaining objective evidence and evaluating if objectivity to determine the extent to which the audit criteria are fulfilled. So this is the definition given in ISO 9000. It means if we interpretate this definition in our terms, so it could be audit is basically to see or to check through objective evidence whether organization is meeting the intent for that particular process or not. If we are doing the process audit, for an example, if we take the example for process audit, manufacturing process audit. So in manufacturing process audit, basically expectation or the intent of this is to see the productivity, whether organization is getting the productivity as per the defined criteria, internal rejections, whether organization are within the internal rejection targets, customer complaints, whether customer complaints are really zero for the organization. So whatever the process owners are doing, that is sufficient to meet our extent or not. So if these controls are not sufficient to meet our intent, it means process are having some issues. So as an auditor, it is very important to understand the intent of this process, and his competence should be enough to identify the area for further improvements, so that we can improve on all those parameters which is defined by the management or which could be the expectation from the customers also. But actually what internal auditors are doing, they are just verifying the things. Process parameters, temperature is like this. If it is given in work instruction, temperature is 200 to 240. So we are just verifying whether it is within the range or not. But as an auditor, we should understand if we took this temperature or if we set our process at this particular temperature, whether this will meet the management expectation. Our internal rejection are within the targets or not. Customer complaints are zero or not. Cost of poor qualities. So basically, as an auditor, it is very important to understand the intent, number one. Number two, he has to perform the audit to ensure at what extent our audit criteria are fulfilled. So I hope you people understand the difference in audit and verification. So if we are going for audit, then auditor should perform the audit. If we are doing the verification activity, then it is not necessary to do the audit activities. So you should have the competence to differentiate between these two terminology, audit and verification. Now, the next point is related to the benefits. So if we talk about the benefits of effective audits, so benefit of effective audit is first, if an auditor do the audit activities to check the linkage, whether whatever the process owner is doing that is meeting the process intent or not, then you can improve your competence. As an auditor, you can improve your competence. So this is very important to enhance the auditor's competence. The second is process improvements. So you will find if you do the audit activities, then auditor could identify a lot of things which can improve our processes, which can reduce the internal rejections, which can reduce the cost of poor quality, which can go towards the zero for customer complaints. And there are a lot of things which is the actually important for the management. Next is product improvement. So there are a lot of areas where we can identify some scope of improvements to ensure that product will meet the customer expectation, to reduce the customer complaint, to reduce the customer feedbacks, negative feedbacks. So this is also very important. If a competent auditor is doing the audit, he can identify some further scope of improvement related to products. So this is also important to meet the management expectation and the customer expectation also. The next is productivity improvements. So by doing the internal audits, system audit or process audit, you can identify the area for further improvement in productivity also, which is also good for the management, good for the company, and good for the customer. So this is also very important for an auditor. The next is reduction in internal rejection and the failures. So if you are a good or competent auditor, then it will be very easy to identify the further scope of improvement which can reduce the internal rejections and the internal failures or external failures. So as an auditor, it is very important to see the quality management system effectiveness and further continual improvement with respect to the productivity improvements, internal rejection reductions, customer complaints, and cost of poor quality, and there are so many things. So if you see the ISO 9000 2015, so it is also showing that audit should be effective and During the course of audit, auditor has to identify the further scope of improvement and evaluate the quality management system effectiveness with respect to the KPIs, performance indicators or objectives. So I hope this video will be useful to differentiate these two terminology, and if the people understand these two terminology in different manners, then they can give their contribution towards the organization improvements. So this is very important for the internal auditors. They should understand the difference between these two terminology. So thank you, and thank you very much. If you think this video is suitable for your organization, or it can give you some value addition in your organization, then you can like this video, you can subscribe my video channel, and you can share this video with your team members, with your colleagues and friends. So once again, thank you, and thank you very much. If you have any question related to these two terminology, you can post your queries in comment sections. So we will try to give the answers in next session, or through the comment box we can share our answers. So once again, thank you, and thank you very much.